Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. So for those of you who've been following the HBO Max series The Last of Us, happen to know that last night was the season 1 finale. And before I give my opinion on how I felt about it, what I wanted to do was just open a dialogue, get in touch with everybody who has been following it, loving it, hating it, and let's just talk about it. So whether you're a diehard fan of the series from the video game, or you're a fan from the TV series, or you're just somebody who put it on because it's something to watch, there's really no denying that there's a lot of controversy lately about how the season went and how each episode went. But first, let's just address one known fact that happens with every TV series or game that ever comes out. And that's someone's always going to find something to complain about, right? So with that being said, you guys are probably sitting there wondering like, who the hell is this guy? And I've never seen him before, and why should I listen to him, right? Well, I'm Chris, and if you guys happen to know me, or if you've been following my channel, you know that for the past 9 weeks, I've actually been making little shorts videos for each premiere of every episode to kind of give like a hint of what's to come, or to kind of reiterate on what has happened. But if you haven't checked out any of those videos, I'll go ahead and put my link in the description for you guys so you can go check it out. So what makes this series good? Well, for one thing, they had Neil Druckmann, who was the creative designer and programmer for the video game series of The Last of Us, heavily involved in the directing process with Craig Mazin. This is something that I have not seen in any video game adaptation to a movie or a show ever. And one of the biggest examples, that's also one of the biggest disappointments, because I'm a huge fan of the game series, is Resident Evil. And for those of you who are fans of that, you know that it's always been kind of a disaster, or definitely a disaster. And with the system of checks and balances in place between Craig and Neil, they were able to give the gaming community what they wanted and keep them interested and involved, and still gain a new audience and a new following from just the TV series. Which is a good thing, because let's be real, they can't take a 60 to 80 hour game and cram it all into a season, or a movie. So they have to take all the core elements from it and make it work into whether it be 9 episodes or a 2.5 to 3 hour movie, right? So the best part about this is that they gave us some things that were not in the game that coincided with the game and gave us a different perspective, which was done really well. Now, if you've heard these points and you're still sitting there saying, I disagree, I don't think it was good, don't freak out, because there's still another point to make when it comes to this series being really good. And what makes this series so good is that it literally has almost every movie style element to it. It has romance, it has drama, it has action, it has thriller and horror. Okay, there's so many moments in this show that combine all of it, and it doesn't make you feel like one is taking place instead of the other. It's combined in a way where it's just there and you feel it, and it was just great. It was done really well. But let's remove all the biased comments out of the video for a second about it being amazing and it's so good, and let's just discuss some of the bad things that the community has come together about and griped about for its entire season. And it is probably my number one gripe as well, which is it was just entirely too short. Now, the reason I feel this way, and I'm sure most of the fan base feels this way and will agree with me, is because there were a lot of key events in Ellie and Joel's journey across the country and back that they simply just did not show us in the show. And they could have easily extended the show to either more episodes or even 2 seasons by giving us those elements to the journey. There were adversaries that they had to go up against that we simply did not get, or we just did not get enough of. And I think that's what troubled a lot of the community about the show. Which brings me to the next problem a lot of the community had with the show, which is their adversaries, and most notably the infected, right? So this whole show is supposed to be about the infected, but we got it in the beginning, we got maybe a little in the middle, and very little near the end. And it's not enough. Much of Joel and Ellie's journey had dealt with a lot of this infected. And I know that they couldn't just make it all about the infected, because it probably would have gotten boring after a while, right? But Instead of just saying, hey, they're here and now they're there, they could have had some episodes where like they ran into a situation of the infected, right? Maybe make something new. You know, that's a little different from the game. But they could have kept the infected involved much of the show to make the viewer understand how much of a problem it was for their journey. So with all that being said, you guys know we could go back and forth all day long talking about why it was good, why it was bad, but at the end of the day, here's my opinion, take it or leave it. Don't really care. It was fucking awesome, okay? For those of you who just want to complain about something and say that it's terrible, you are just looking for something to complain about, because I think that most of the video game community and the new community can agree that it was a great show. It made us feel every human emotion. It showed us how the human element works in a situation like this, okay? It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to happen exactly like that, but people are people, right? And people are going to do what it takes to survive. And I think they did an incredible job showing us how somebody would act in this scenario. And not just somebody, but your average everyday individual who experiences hardship, loss, defeat. And it showed us how even through that pandemic, you still find a reason and a why to live, even if you think you can't. And we all know a little bit about a pandemic, although very drastically different. So if you are somebody who enjoyed the series, you'd be happy to know that they are going to do a second season. There's already been interviews with Neil and Craig, and they have discussed that the second game is going to be split up into 2 seasons, and there's going to be a lot more action with the infected, which is awesome because they can really take and spread out a season and have Joel and Ellie involved in a lot of scenarios. And I think we're going to be really surprised in some of the things they change up from the game, and I can't wait. And although they already said that it could start filming by the end of this year, we're probably not going to be able to see it until the end of next year or 2025, they said, which is a bummer, but we'll get there before you know it. But that's all I had for you guys today. I want to thank you for joining me in discussing The Last of Us TV series. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And if you haven't watched it yet, please watch it. It's awesome. It's worth investing your time in. We're getting 2 more seasons at least, and it's going to be really exciting, so I'm sure you won't be disappointed. So if you guys liked my video and the points that I made on why I felt that this show was so good, definitely hit that subscribe button so you can follow me for more videos like this. But more importantly, make sure you comment on how you felt about the show, whether it was good or bad. I would love to see this video grow big enough and the comment section grow big enough where maybe it makes an impact on how we end up seeing the new seasons. You know, Craig and Neil could see it and be like, all right, this is what the community wants. And I would love for that to happen. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.